Okay, tell me your story, buddy.
So, I think about Tupac. He got shot out of a boxing match outside of a
Wait,
boxing
he got
match.
shot like a man in a cannon?
No, like a gun.
He got shot out of a gun?
Yeah, outside of a boxing match, I think.
Right. Well, who was driving the car?
He wasn't driving the car. He just walked out of a boxing match, and then he just got shot.
Right. Well, that's unlucky. Do you know who it was that shot him?
Shitballs, I forget.
Well, put your dad on, and we'll talk about some true crime.
I'm gonna be on here for like 20 minutes, though. My
Oh,
dad
Lord.
said I could, so
Mm.
you can swear if you want.
No, not me. I don't swear.
I swear. Why is there 1 minute and 22 seconds already? I thought we only had like. Okay, now can we do Biggie Small?
Yeah. Tell me about him.
How did Biggie Small die?
He was shot outside a boxing match too, I think.
Oh, okay. He was shot outside of a boxing match too.
I think they were both shot in a car.
Were they both shot in the car?
No, they were on the sidewalk.
They were on the sidewalk.
No, I'm pretty sure that Suge Knight was driving them in, well, his limo
Suge
was
Knight
driving
was
them.
driving them?
Suge Knight was the producer. He might have done
Suge Knight done it.
Say that, Uncle Dan.
My Jake says like everything that's so stupid.
They love you, Uncle Dan. Go.
Oh.
I gotta hit the hay.
No, not right now. I need to talk about one more thing.
Go for
I
it.
can hear my. Okay, so do you know the movie The Simpsons,
TV show.
the TV show?
Yeah.
There's an episode that this is kind of like a question. I want on this podcast, like maybe half of it, we're gonna try. Is it okay if we try to just like go talk about the episode where the kids got their head cut off and like?
I think you're tripping, eh?
Well, I don't really understand what you mean by that.
They love you, Uncle Dan.
So,
on.
Jack, say love you, Uncle Dan.
love you, Uncle Dan.
Love you too, buddy. Have a great night.
Okay.
Bye, Felicia.
Yee! Yee! Okay. Can I just say one more yeet one time?
Yeah.
Yeet!
Oh
I
my.
didn't mean that. Yeet!
Okay.
Okay.
Talk to you later, buddy.
So, talk to you later. Jake!
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Dan.
Bye.
He's a little wired.
Oh, that was something.
4 minutes of sound. I just sent you a picture and I realized I look like I look like I'm wearing a wig.
Why?
I just have, I don't know. You know how some haircuts, I know I don't mean to sound too offensive, but they're
My
like
God, you do look like you're wearing a wig.
they're like Down syndrome haircuts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm dealing with. All right, Jack. That's enough eats. We don't want any.
That's enough eats.
We don't want any sound getting screwed up in our
You don't want
podcast.
any sound getting screwed up in there.
Why?
Good night.
There's
Okay.
gonna be one small little ghost in Florida this year.
Jack, don't. Okay, go to bed. Good night, darling. Now, I was just. It's been a while. Jack, stop. 1 second. Jack, go the hell to bed. Chrissy, Can you take him to bed?
No! I tried, Jake.
They're talking. They have no respect.
No, well, I mean, and we have only the utmost of respect for this podcast.
And our fans. We
Yeah. I don't know
Mom says,
if you'd call them
good night.
fans.
What did we weirdos?
Do to
Our
deserve this?
weirdos.
Our weirdos. I can hear myself echoing back into your headphones, into your microphone.
Oh, it's the way this thing's built. It's all one unit. It's like what you'd have at a call center. And I'm not sure.
Well, funnily enough, when I call a
have
call
a
center,
better
I
way
can't
of
hear
doing
myself talk back.
That's true. I didn't say I was a sound engineer. Jeez. All right, I'm looking through the settings. I'm on my laptop. This is not a pro.
And it's good that it gives us timestamps, because this will allow us to sort of from 6 minutes 23 seconds.
Sarah, you shouldn't be able to hear yourself anymore.
I can't.
Okay. Well.
Hello.
Problem solved. Oh.
Well, if I do that again.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been.
Welcome to the One Foot in the Grave podcast.
Season 3.
Season. We missed season 2.
Music, please.
Jack, go over, dear. You'll be in the podcast. All right. Good night, dear. Sorry. He's very keen on being in the podcast.
No, doesn't he know that no one listens to it? It's basically just him and us.
It'll be me on the plane. You've been up for an hour, dear. Just 1 second, Daniel. Mark a timestamp. 7:10.
So,
Jack,
yeah.
go away. Go to bed. If you want to keep what you recorded in the podcast, go to bed.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. He's
I don't.
It's like raising.
Add a show note. Oh, okay. This is shit.
Okay, welcome back to One Foot in the Grave podcast.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Jake. It's
Best.
a little noisy here.
Best season 2 opener ever.
Let's start with an apology. My son is acting like an insane person, but he's on vacation and he's eating a lot of Girl Guide cookies that we bought out of pity.
What?
Because the Girl Guide was really overweight.
What's your favorite Girl Guide cookie?
Well, this is interesting. It used to be the one that's just like Oreos, but it was like the white Oreo though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like instead of black cookie, it's white cookie.
Yeah.
But we down here, I'm actually on vacation at the moment in southern Florida, and we saw Girl Guides selling these cookies, and this poor Girl Guide, God bless her heart, was probably 250 pounds, and
She was
4'8",
43 years old.
Yeah, no, she was a child, but she was an Americanized body habitus, I guess you would say, which I also have. So God bless her. But she said, "What kind of cookies do you want?" And I, knowing the wisdom of what I was about to ask, I said, "What's your favorite kind?" She was like, "Oh, I like the Samoan kind." Samoan? So they have cookies. They're like coconut clusters with chocolate and caramel on them. Man,
Yeah.
I just had 2 of them. Just had 2 of them.
I
They're
just
amazing.
saw. Do you watch the Try Guys?
Mm-hmm. I do.
It must be Girl Guide cookie season. So do they sell them year round, or is it a seasonal thing?
It's a seasonal thing.
Yeah, so they just did their favorites, and yeah, it sounded like actually the 2 Girl Guides that he had on that one they didn't like those ones; they were too sweet.
Huh? The Samoan ones?
So I don't know if they're called Samoan.
Maybe the girl just looked Samoan, and they weren't called that. I feel a little bad now. I'm pretty sure they were called Samoan cookies.
What?
But
really?
They got Mum and Chrissy got the s'more kind. It tastes like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Not
Did you get
recommended.
the s'more cookies, or were they in like a chocolate dipped cake form?
No, s'more cookies. Terrible.
Yeah,
Do not buy.
I think the
I
chocolate.
mean, if
dipped
that's all the
kind-
Girl Guides have, and they're raising money for a good cause, still don't buy them because they taste shitty.
No, I'm pretty sure that they've got a lot of them. So you got the caramel delights, perhaps?
No. They do say Samoan on the box. I got the
The
Samoans.
tagalongs, maybe.
Samoan. I got the Samoan cookies.
Samo-
They're circular. The hole is missing in the
Samoas.
middle. Samoas.
Crisp.
Maybe I got samosas. Fuck.
Crisp
I
cookies
guess I do like
coated in
samosas.
caramel, sprinkled with toasted coconut and striped with dark chocolatey coating.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
And I've been
yeah,
eating delicious.
So there's more calories in there than in my daily total.
Allowable by Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing the WW now?
What's that? Oh, Weight Watchers? No. Still fat.
Oh, me too. Fatter than ever, really.
So 11 minutes 39
And
is when
nothing
the
has
show will
happened.
officially.
Welcome to the One Foot in the Grave podcast.
Yeah, where nothing happens.
We're back. I know you've missed us.
You're welcome, world.
I know you've missed us, Carmen.
And John. And that's it. Not
No,
that-
no. Who was the other guy who he hated us, but he keeps listing?
Oh,
comments?
yeah, Levi.
Levi.
Sorry, buddy.
You guys are idiots. But
Yeah.
he keeps commenting every time we put one up, and he's also one of our only likers. Like on Facebook, he likes stuff.
Well, you know our one Patreon who is Dad.
Yeah.
I-
not so. That's not going so well anymore.
Well, I cashed out on his Patreon contributions and bought some cologne.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good for you.
Because I didn't know what would happen once the credit card is cancelled. I didn't want that to go away. Also, it's in American dollars, which was a bit of a surprise. So,
Oh, welcome to
Yeah.
the good time.
yeah, I
So
got
we
two
have.
bottles.
How many episodes do we have? 12?
Too
13?
many. I don't know.
20 maybe. Quite a few episodes. None in the last 3 months.
No.
What happened was our father passed away.
Yeah,
And then
we
Actually,
initially
it was
we were
fun.
in shock and we thought it was okay.
Being in
to
shock was
record.
okay when you were there. Actually, it wasn't so bad over Christmas. But then,
Whoa. What was that
good night,
sound?
Jack. That's Chrissy whistling to our child like a dog to get them to go to bed.
Okay, so
She's string. Go.
I've been watching a lot of BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Oh, are they making any new ones? I haven't seen any new.
I just watched.
episodes.
I don't know. I binge watched it because it's been 5 trillion degrees outside here, and
The crazy thing is, I watched it when Dad was sick. Like that week
Mm-hmm.
that we were in palliative care, I think I watched every episode.
I wish I had known about it back then because it would have been a lot easier to
Well,
fill
did
the
you
time.
not notice that I was sitting there on my phone watching?
I can't remember. I
BuzzFeed
think the
Unsolved
year
the entire time.
before I was watching rat shooting.
Oh yes, that's true.
I didn't know about this one. I think I was still trying to tie up work loose ends because I just kind of said, "Okay, bye, gotta go." But I've actually done a little bit of research. Jeez,
Sorry,
Louise.
Christy's doing the dishes. It's not a. We're not in a quiet area.
We're not in a sound booth.
This is not a sound booth. Just so everyone knows, I'm wearing a headset with a microphone attached that I bought from the Shediac Canadian Tire for an episode in the past for $14.
And still no Patreons. We're putting all of this money, all of this capital into this podcast.
It takes money to make money. I think the next thing I might buy is a kazoo so that we can record. But we can do it live every time.
Oh, a cappella.
Yeah.
How to make a shitty thing shittier.
Yeah,
at a kazoo.
At a kazoo. Jack has been going to those, those arcades. Like they have them at movie theaters usually, but down here they have them like basically a whole warehouse full of arcade games. Yeah. And you win tickets, but you might win 5 tickets in a game, and 1,000 tickets buys you a kazoo or some atomic warheads or whatever.
Yeah.
But
whoa, they just sell them
for like $25
in stores down there.
Win.
Jeez, they really have to tighten up their gun laws.
The candy.
Oh, right. Tart.
Anyway,
the tart candy.
So we've been going to those with him. I don't know how we got into this discussion. The kazoo, yeah, because that was one of the prizes. But you had to win 400 tickets to get a kazoo. So he maxed out on Fun Dip.
Gosh!
If our listeners don't know what Fun Dip is, it's like a pouch of sugar with a little
sugar
stick that you lick, and then your saliva makes the sugar stick to the stick.
Gross.
You dip it in, and then lick your own wet saliva.
Could you imagine, in places look, you can only get one lucky dip, but you got to share it. And you all have to share that lick-a-maid. So gross.
Yeah. We've been to that arcade, Chrissy, 3 times? 4 times? I've been there many times since we came down here. It's like a migraine within 5 seconds.
But it's like what?
Instant migraine because of all the different bleep bloop sounds of the different arcade games. They have everything from the 80s until present day. Okay, we got to talk about true crime or supernatural stuff.
Yeah, I think we got to get back into the supernatural. I'm loving this BuzzFeed Unsolved.
I love the
supernatural.
The supernatural is my jam. That's what I
think because
frankly,
as
we've said, I'm not a believer.
They've got Ryan and Shane.
I'm a Shaniac.
Yeah, I'm a Shaniac too. I love we will discover whether I think because we're both fucking skeptics. We'll discover if ghosts real, and he shakes his head.
No.
And he's
you idiot.
Where are you, demons? I love it.
Come home with me.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to be quiet here, and feel free to rip my eyes out of their sockets or grab my beating heart out of my chest. I don't know what he says, but it's horrible things.
Oh man!
So
they did. Funny enough, they actually did an episode when they were doing true crime stuff. They did Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls.
Well, you didn't watch it though. If you're telling your son that he was shot on a sidewalk because they were shot in Suge Knight's limousine.
Maybe one of them was, but one of them was after the boxing match. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember much about this.
It was the whole thing.
Now, Jack is a huge, I don't know where it came from, huge R&B fan, and old school rap is his game. So he is listening to all the Snoop Dogg stuff that you and I listened to. At high school dances.
High school dances like Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good sign when I'm yawning.
Yeah. We've been entertaining. Jack?
You know what?
It's time, dear.
I said...
Every time you say dear, it's just...
It's because things are getting out of control.
Dear.
I mean, I think I'm in trouble.
Listen, dear.
Well, listen, Uncle Dan. Let me tell you about the Killdozer, because I've been kind of stoked to talk about this for a while.
Oh, is this like Mr. Mercedes?
Sort of. It didn't kill anyone. I like that. Okay, most of the criminals that we talked about are shit hats.
Yeah.
Dennis Rader, top of the shit hat list.
Yeah, number one shit hat. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that...
I don't like Dahmer. I think he was a shit hat.
Yeah. What was his name? Justin Dahmer? No.
The Ted Bundy, major shit hat.
Yeah.
But this guy...
Did we Ted Bundy?
Yeah. We started one, and then you were set up to be continued in part 2, and then you were like, "It's too boring. I'm stopping."
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was really stupid. Yeah.
Well, it's just that everybody's already done it, right? But this one's funny. I remember this one from the news, but not everyone has done this. I had to go looking around to find somebody who'd covered this.
to rip it off.
To rip it off. Well, I couldn't remember the guy's name, so all I could remember was the word killdozer, and that didn't come up with anything. So,
Hold on, I gotta take migraine headache tablets.
It sounds like you're doing Parmesan cheese at the table side.
I can assure you it's not.
Do you want some
Although
fresh
these
pepper?
are kidney-coded Tylenol. They know the demographic that they're going for. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves, weirdos.
He's dry swallowing Tylenol. This reminds me, weirdos, of the episode where he had an itchy eyeball that he just disappeared for like 25 minutes. And
Alright.
I spoke to you.
Back.
Oh, he's on his way back. It was a shorter break.
Killdozer.
I heard you sold your caravan studio.
Yes.
Full of
And
mold?
you know what? I called it the Caravan Studio for so long, sold it, and then I thought I should have called it the Scaravan.
Oh, dang. So where are you now? Just in your bedroom?
Bedroom. The scariest place in my house.
I can't think of a bedroom pun that sounds scary.
No.
Anyway, so listen. This dude, I like him. The Killdozer guy. His name's Marvin Haymeyer, or Haymeyer.
Mm-hmm.
And this went down in 2004. Mm-hmm. Can I tell you the story?
No. That's the end of the show. That's all we've got.
We're out of time.
We're out of time, unfortunately.
3 months from now, you'll hear the story of Marvin Haymeyer. So I'm going to take it back. Boodaloo, boodaloo. It's 2004, Granby, Colorado. I'm going to tell you the story of a reasonable man driven to do unreasonable things. So Marvin is kind of a normal dude. He ran a auto body repair shop. He moved to Grand Lake, Colorado 10 years before the event, so like 1994, for those mathematicians out there. Mm-hmm. He was a loner. He didn't have any family there, but he did have friends, and his friends thought he was a pretty likable guy. So in the early 90s, Haymeyer purchased 2 acres of land from the Resolution Trust Corporation, and he paid $42,000 to build a muffler shop, and subsequently agreed to sell a portion of the land to Cody Dochev, who ultimately wanted to build a concrete plant on it. Okay, so if you picture it, his muffler shop is kind of like on this long driveway, and he sold a piece of the land that's a little bit closer to the main road.
To make concrete.
For a concrete plant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he made some money on that. But all he wanted really was to run his muffler shop. So obviously they had to rezone the area to do the concrete plant. And in 2001, the zone... Oh, shit. It's all about to kick off here.
Full podcast right now.
Jack, go to bed. Please. No, don't knock over the laundry. Don't do anything stupid. Just go right to bed. You're not in bed. You're hiding behind a pile of towels.
We're trying to talk about concrete here, Jack.
This is important.
Jack,
this has to do with the city zoning.
This is important
in
business.
Lake, Colorado.
We've already lost one Patreon.
We've lost our main Patreon. We're having this is a tough podcast to get through.
Delete it.
We're not deleting it. Go to bed.
You have to.
Stop being an asshole and go to bed.
Oh. I'm going to bury you in concrete.
Just timestamp here.
Are you embarrassed?
Timestamp.
20. Daddy, get
I
me
don't
down
get embarrassed
there.
anymore.
Daddy, get me down.
If you don't want to be embarrassed, go to bed, or I'll tell Uncle Dan what happened this morning.
Shit himself.
Mm-hmm.
Shit himself.
Go to bed.
Mm.
Go to bed so I don't have to tell him. Jack, go to bed. I'm watching you.
The old log flume, hey?
Mm-hmm.
It's embarrassing that I hurt myself.
Yeah, that's right. You hurt yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes poops hurt when they come out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So then we're going to build a concrete plant on
2450. Lord. I don't know. I don't know why we stopped.
Disaster.
Why did we take such a long break? This is awesome.
It's of all the true crime podcasts that you guys listen to, this is by far the most professional,
the most real.
It's like a mix of reality TV, the boring reality TV, a family soap, and the worst podcast you've ever heard. Anyway, okay, so they had to rezone this place for the concrete plant.
Tell me more about the rezoning.
Let's get into the specifics of the zoning laws.
So they hired a lawyer, but he was not a great lawyer.
So when they rezoned for the plant, they rezoned over the driveway that went into his muffler shop, Haymeyer's muffler shop. So he said, well,
for the folks at home, a driveway is where you go from the road to either house or place of business.
So basically, they built this thing and
on the driveway.
They cut him. Yeah, they cut him off. They cut him off with the concrete plant. So he appealed the decision and was denied. He petitioned this.
Tell me more.
Thrilling.
My God, I can't stop listening.
It's going to get good. He petitioned.
Oh my God, how many signatures?
Hundreds. Denied again.
Goodness, oh my God. Riveting. Oh my. So don't say anymore. Listen, we've got to make a TV show about this.
This gets good. He bought heavy machinery.
Oh my God.
And petitioned the city council to be allowed to build a new access road himself, but was denied.
Oh my gosh! So
the
stop my heart.
Crew.
Hold on, I gotta go take my beta blockers.
Scary, spooky. The factory construction crew then cut Haymeyer's connection to the sewage system, and then the Granby Town Council fined him for not being hooked up to the sewer. Which I gotta say, I feel for this guy. I would have gone insane if this had been me, which he does.
Well, I mean, the listeners at home, is probably getting that same feeling.
He started taking notes at this point, and the theme is that sometimes reasonable men have to do unreasonable things. Mm-hmm. So he made essentially a shit list of people who had wronged him. And for a year and a half, as a hobby, he built a killdozer because he bought all this heavy machinery to build a new driveway.
Yeah,
and
but even though
that was denied, he now had this giant bulldozer that he thought, oh well, I'll turn this into an instrument of vengeance. Mm-hmm. So he built armor made of 12-inch concrete, layered between tool steel. He had already purchased a Komatsu D355A bulldozer for building the access road. He noted that he was amazed he was never caught in his notes. It was a part-time project over a year and a half. Several people visited the... fuck me.
No, it's good so far. It's still really good. What kind of bulldozer was it again? An A535?
Komatsu. You can Google it, a D355A. It was a big bulldozer.
Oh, okay.
During the time he was building it, lots of people had visited the shed where he was working but never noticed the gigantic armor exoskeleton suspended over the bulldozer. Every time I think of that, I just think of sheds and tool places, muffler shop stuff that I've walked into where I've looked around and gone, don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, cheerleaders doing a cheer outside the window. That'll come through.
I thought that was Jack.
So, but you go into the muffler shop and you're like, okay, they got a lift. That's normal. Mm-hmm. They got a air hose. It's pretty normal. You got a giant concrete armor exoskeleton hanging over a bulldozer. Probably normal.
Yeah.
They got a lawnmower. It's just like
the bulldozer thing. That's what they do.
Yeah, that's the bulldozer thing. They install that in order to do stuff. So then he installed cameras around the armor, protecting them with 3-inch bulletproof plastic, and connected them to monitors inside the cabin. He installed compressed air nozzles to blow the dust off the lenses. He fitted 3 gun ports, each with a different weapon, including a 50 caliber anti-material rifle, a 308, which I have, and a 22 long rifle, which I also have. I can make a killdozer, no problem.
Well,
he installed onboard fans and an air conditioner. The armor had to be lowered onto the dozer by a crane, and once he got in, he couldn't get out. So June
hence
4th,
the killdozer.
Yeah.
And then he died in there.
It's amazing. Yeah, it'd get hot. I was just watching. Do you remember Ace Ventura, Pet Detective?
Yes.
Do you remember the second one?
The rhinoceros.
The rhinoceros's ass. Because the fan breaks and it gets hot.
Yes.
It's maybe one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. Oh, look. The mama rhinoceros is giving birth. The ass was made of latex. It was such a perfect scene. So anyway, June 4th, 2004, he sealed himself in the bulldozer. He drove through the wall of his muffler shop and through the concrete plant, like put a hole right through it, before making his way into town. He destroyed the town hall, the local newspaper office, the home of a judge who had sided against him in court, the home of a former mayor who had died, a hardware store owned by someone he fought in a lawsuit, and others. In total, the attack lasted 2 hours and 7 minutes and destroyed 13 buildings, causing $7 million worth of damage. The bakery owner stated Haymeyer went out of his way not to hurt anyone. Sheriff said it was good luck and not good intent that nobody was injured. He fired his guns at propane tanks and power transformers. It does say that he fired upon the concrete plant owner when he tried to stop the killdozer with a wheel tractor scraper. But that's just what the guy said. It's hard to know if he really shot at him, because it sounds like he really wasn't trying to kill anybody. It's also stated that, but maybe that's what I want to believe.
Did he call it the killdozer though?
He did not. That was what I called it. I think he called it, Haymeyer's Rampage or something. It is also stated that he fired on 2 police officers before they fired at him. But you know how sometimes the police will just say stuff like that? And I'm not judging. Yeah. If I were a policeman, I'd be like, killdozer coming at us, shoot it. We'll
it's coming right for us.
First. It's coming right for us. If you're not a suspect. Hey, guys.
Oh, no. The bear is coming right for us.
I can't even guess. Anyway, small arms fire could not penetrate the armor. Someone put a flashbang grenade down the muffler, but it had no effect. Under Sheriff Glenn Traynor climbed the dozer and rode it, looking for some place to shoot, but eventually he had to get off to avoid being hit with debris. Governor Bill Owens considered authorizing a Hellfire missile attack from an Apache helicopter or a 2-man Javelin anti-tank missile team to stop the killdozer. That seems excessive. But, anything to help the mayor of Granby.
They would have done that, but they didn't have the laser painter to
exactly
tell the Hellfire missiles where to go.
Eventually, somehow, it punctured the radiator, and it got stuck. One of its tracks got stuck in the Gamble's hardware store as it was like demolishing the hardware store. And there were all these. When you watch the video, it's on YouTube. There's all this smoke coming out of the engine compartment. It probably overheated. A SWAT team swarmed the dozer, and after a while, they heard a single gunshot. It was later determined that Haymeyer had shot himself with a .357 handgun. They tried to get in using explosives, but this failed, and ultimately they had to cut their way in with an oxyacetylene torch. They removed his body at 2 a.m. June 5th. They cut up and scrapped the killdozer, dispensing pieces to different scrapyards to prevent souvenir taking. And that was a good idea, because if I knew where it was, I would definitely go and get a souvenir if I was in that area, because that's a fucking crazy thing to have happened. And I feel bad for Marvin Haymeyer. That's the kind of shit that happens to me all the time. I just feel like all I wanted was to rezone to build a fucking shed, and now they're saying my electrical panel is out of date, and I can't afford the $20,000 fucking bill, and it's just a disaster. Anyway, that's the story of the killdozer. I've been saving that one. If it sounded like I was reading directly from my notes, I was, because I researched this December
3 months ago.
13th.
I know. I did the same. Now, in keeping with, I don't know, torture, I thought maybe I would tell my story to the listeners. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with torture. But
who are the listeners who are still on with us? We're going to obviously have to actually edit some stuff today.
Sorry. Yeah, the first hour, I think. We're not even there yet.
Sorry, guys.
If I say the name David Koresh, what comes to mind?
A joke. How do you pick up chicks in Waco, Texas?
How?
With a dustbuster.
Oh, chick.
Sorry. It's not too soon. That was years ago.
Yeah, I remember watching it on television, though.
Yeah, that was nuts. I think the FBI burned the thing down on purpose. Are you doing Waco?
I'm doing Waco, Texas. Sweet. See, we've got a place around here called Waco, and I thought it was the same name, and I've been calling it Waco for a very long time. Today, I'm doing David Koresh and the raid on Waco, Texas.
Sweet.
Wait.
This is I can't believe we haven't done this one yet.
At Waco, Texas, because it wasn't a place called Waco. Anyway.
It was the Branch Davidians.
Yes, he was. He was a Davidian. It was a Davidian compound. And it lasted...
That was David, because he was David Koresh, right? So
I know, but you think Davidian just sounds like there are going to be a lot of Davids. Why wouldn't you call it Koreshian? I guess because he thought he was Jesus. So I guess Davidian sounds a lot more angelic than Koreshian. All right, it's just me. So I don't know if yeah, Jake's gone. All right, so Jake's still here, but just via text message. And I might just start this one over.
Not a bad idea.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the name David Koresh?
Oh, here we are. Yeah. So
I heard this joke recently.
Were we able to keep any of the beginning half?
Yeah, I think it's all there. I mean,
that's good.
There's a good 10 minutes of...
This could be a super mini-sode, or it could be... What happened was I'm on a sketchy Wi-Fi, and I think I signed out. Tell me your David Koresh joke.
Okay, so how do you pick up chicks in Waco, Texas?
I'm not sure how.
With the dustbuster. I don't think it's too soon for that. It was years ago.
We're doing this in reverse.
Okay.
Oh, golly.
So, all right. So, David Koresh founded the Davidians, and in 1993, there was a 51-day raid taken out by the alcohol, tobacco, and firearm agents, and the FBI. The compound was formerly called Mount Carmel, and it was heavily armed. Of the 75 members, including 25 children, after the 51-day raid, there were only 9 survivors. The thing that kind of catches my attention here, though, is that 75 people isn't a lot.
Well,
right?
I mean, it's quite a few. That's 75 are dead?
No. In total, there were 75 people, including the 25 children.
Well, the Davidians were not a huge branch of the church. All right. How many believe that Jesus Christ was the Savior? I see about 2 billion hands. And how many believe it was David Koresh? 75. Okay. Well, why don't you do your own branch?
Well, Koresh was the self-proclaimed Lamb and Son of God. So I don't like.
He was well armed. He was well armed for a lamb.
Yeah, but how do you be the Lamb of God? Anyway,
I don't know, but that is a heavy metal band.
Is it?
Yeah, Lamb of God. They're not particularly great.
He said that the raid had been a fulfillment of prophecy that he had made. I just love any time that someone says fulfillment of prophecy. It just sounds
like a writer's trick for making things like in the Lego movie. Oh, there's a prophecy. Gotcha.
So it was televised worldwide, and I remember watching it because I was only 10 at the time, and you would have been 13. And it ended in a shootout that killed 4 U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms agents. And I have made a note here that says P.S. So I wrote this like you did 3 months ago. P.S. This is a very broad bureau. I find that they should have named it something else. Anything else. Like alcohol, tobacco.
Yeah.
And
cannabis.
And then had a firearms department on their own. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like firearms would be its own department.
Yeah, exactly. Like the same guy who's having a shootout with David Koreshian
is also going to the liquor store, and he's like, "Is that really 40% in that Jim Beam, or is it 42?"
Yes. I didn't see you ask for ID on that young man before. Anyway, so at the end of the shootout, 5 members of the Koreshians or the Davidians were dead, and David was wounded.
That's
and
it.
Eventually, 5 members.
That's after the first part of the shootout.
Yeah. Because only 9 survived.
Right.
Eventually, over 700 FBI and other enforcement agents had surrounded the compound with tanks and armored vehicles. That's you. And the ATF had been investigating the cult for over a year with suspicion of stockpiling weapons and child abuse. Ooh. They suspected that David Koresh had fathered children with girls as young as 12 years old. Funnily enough, David was born Vernon Howell. So I guess, so I'm thinking that Vernonians and Howellians just did not have the same ring, and he was like, what That's name? Something. It's kind of like when Asian people come to Western towns or Western
so you get Jimmy Choo, but Jimmy wasn't the name they picked in Hanoi or whatever. Hanoi is obviously in Vietnam.
His parents were not like, I'm going to name him Jimmy, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Chipotai Jimmy. Ganatsu.
There's this comedian, and I can't remember who it is, but her husband is Vietnamese, and she had made some sort of racial slur by mistake. And then at the wedding, she said, "So I studied and I learned Vietnamese." And I said to his family, because they were all there, and she went on and on and on and on in Vietnamese. And then she goes, "Of course, I didn't know how to say any of that, so I just made it up." It was really bad.
I know. Well, I figure if we can use a fake Scottish accent, we can speak fake Vietnamese as well.
No, I don't know.
It's probably actually raising some flags, but listen, you get what you pay for. This podcast is free.
Well, also, weirdos, if you just reached out to us and gave us some content, it would just be so helpful.
You still there?
Me?
It's
or the listeners.
Yeah. Listeners. Did we lose you?
Oh, one thing I did want to try is, hey Siri, subscribe to this podcast.
My phone just went.
Sorry.
Oh shit. Okay, Google, subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah.
What's the Amazon one?
Alexa. Hey, Alexa.
Hey, Alexa, subscribe to this podcast. There we go. You're welcome, people.
We're going to get you one way or another.
If our subscribe rates go up,
that's going to be hilarious.
Hey, Siri, repeat.
Sorry, Daniel.
Oh, it's okay, Siri.
My Siri is a...
No.
Okay.
Stop this.
My Siri's an Australian guy. Listen. Hey, Siri. Say something for me. Oh, God damn it. It says awesome. That may be on my police at the moment. Really, you know, I'm not so worried about the artificial intelligence revolution at the moment. That's going to drive everyone insane. We just set off your phones about 40 times. Sorry. I was listening to True Crime Garage.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah. Just constant annoyance. We won't do it in future episodes.
Except for all of the other ones, the next ones.
We'll just start it that way. I was listening to True Crime Garage, and at one point he says, "Hey, sorry, but..." and my phone went off, and then it recorded everything he was saying. And it was just like... yeah, you got to be careful not to do that. And then we just did it about 10 times. Anyway, David Koresh.
Well, I mean, Vernon. We covered all our bases.
What's his name? Vernon Hardapple?
Vernon Howell.
Howell.
Yeah. He was in a Christian rock band. There's an oxymoron for you. Then became a preacher.
To Christian rock. She's got the WoW
really?
discs. What does WoW stand for, Chrissy? World of Worship. Obviously not World of Warcraft.
Whoa! They really they took a bit of a
every album cover. 3 members of the band, black and white photo, looking in different directions in front of the sea. They're looking cool, leather jackets. So they got to be like, you know.
I was just listening to an actual good podcast called My Favorite Murderer.
Yeah,
and
stop listening to it. Oh
no, it's so good. The probably the best thing was that they were talking about this girl who was wearing an SSDGM shirt, and a lady came up to her and goes, "Oh, I love that show too, like SSDGM, My Favorite Murderer." And she was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And she had borrowed her daughter's shirt, and her daughter said that it said, "Stay saved, stay saved, do God's missions." The lady believed her. Stay saved, do God's missions.
Yeah.
Anywho, so then he took over an offshoot, which is always a good sign, of the Seventh-day Adventist Church called the Davidians in the 1980s. In 1987, he had a fight with a rival leader that ended in a holy shootout in which David was acquitted. Fuck me. David.
David Koresh was acquitted.
He was acquitted in 1987 for attempted murder. In 1985, on a visit to Israel, obviously the Holy Land, for the Davidians, David told followers that he had a vision while standing on Mount Zion. He said angels had whisked him up past Orion to meet God. According to the Savior, David... according to Survivor.
According to the Savior?
According to Survivor.
According to the Savior, David was full of shit.
David Theobodian. So another David who survived the whole
They're all named David. That's how that church works. It's like the elders and the Mormons. How everybody's named elder. In the Branch Davidians, everyone's named David.
Do you remember our friend Colin? We were talking about our grandparents, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the Moonies. My grandmother was a Mooney." And we were like, "What? What was her name?" And he goes, "Mummy Mooney."
That same friend, when his mother was pregnant with Brian, his brother.
Yeah.
Mom said, "What's Judy going to name the baby, Colin?" And he said, "If it's a boy, she's going to call him Brian. If it's a girl, she's going to call her Twinkle Toes." I mean, he was 9 at the time. You don't know that.
Yeah, it was probably said in passing.
Yeah,
as a joke, and then he was like,
he took it seriously.
Twinkle Toes.
He was looking forward to his sibling, Twinkle Toes. Yeah. Say the last name.
So upon his return, Koresh said the world would end in 1995. He said God had instructed him to have a child with his legal wife's 11-year-old sister. Oh, God. Why would you say such a thing?
Even if that's in your vision.
Yeah. He taught that all women of the world belonged to him and that only he had the right to procreate. Jeez. I mean, this guy has got some nerve. By the end, David had fathered 17 children with 11 women and had sexual relationships with 15 women.
You know, maybe I should start a cult.
Yeah, I know. Like, I understand where he was coming from. He was just a sadistic
He was just
perv,
trying to
basically.
dip his wick.
Wax his pole.
I had a vision, and the angel Gabriel
Yes.
told me that I need to get more hand jobs from the other Davidians.
8 of the women and 12 children died in the raid. Oh my gosh, we're so awful.
We're not even trying to be good people anymore.
No,
We've been through some shit,
honestly,
people.
The guy is a kind of is clearly a dick.
Yeah,
A giant dick that only women of the world can ride.
yeah.
The survivor, Clive Doyle, described the fire on the final siege. The skin was peeling off my hands. My jacket was melting. Sorry, I don't know why I made that voice.
It's the wrong voice. Because he survived the fire, it's probably more like, the skin was peeling off my hands.
The skin was peeling off my hands. My jacket was melting. The fire was the main cause of death.
Jeez. This is messed up.
Smells like home, Jeremiah. Most unbelievable is that now Charles I. Pace, real name, claims to be a Davidian who was away at the time of the siege.
Right.
Has taken over the sect at Mount Carmel property.
No.
He is seeking new converts, saying it could be 20, it could be 20,000. I don't really know, and I don't really care. That's up to the Holy Spirit.
As long
He's going
as
to build
they
a
give
museum.
Carl hand jobs. They can be in my church.
I will let the people move onto the property if they want to build Mount Carmel to be a bastion of truth, biblical, political, spiritual truth.
And firearms.
And that's Waco, Texas for you.
Yeah, but so did you know? Okay, there's a conspiracy
theory.
There's a conspiracy theory about Waco, Texas. And actually, I think Andy McNabb buys into this, and he's one of my favorite authors. So part of the theory is
McNabb was one of,
he was the
just
old
so you know,
SAS guy.
Well, no, he's a Death Eater in Harry Potter is what he is, but continue.
Anyway, there's a theory that the ATF fired in flammable gas canisters before firing in
Tear gas?
something to ignite them. So I think they shot flares into the house or something like that. And actually, they said that the Davidians had doused the house with gasoline and it was a suicide cult and they'd set it on fire. But in fact, they had set the fire themselves, either through incompetence or just from not wanting to continue the standoff. Yeah.
So the ATF set it on fire.
Essentially, yeah.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing or tactic to do.
No, that's what the Russians did in Chechnya.
they're shooting at us.
You've got,
we can let them continue to shoot at us, or we could just set them all on fucking fire.
It's like Keanu Reeves. Shoot the hostage. That's never the answer.
Like, it's not like this was a hostage situation. These people chose to be there, not the children.
I think they had gone to investigate like why there were so many firearms there. I think that was they were stockpiling arms was the charge. Yeah. But actually, shit. You know what? There's a guy on YouTube named Quixel. I think it's Quyixl.
Real name.
And when I was looking for the Killdozer stuff, he does cartoons and narrates over them. He's an Irish guy. Anyway, he's really good. But there was another story very similar to Waco, but it was just one family.
I'm going to follow him. I'm going to let him have my wife and make babies and then live in a compound.
Yeah. Or you could just check out his YouTube channel. But anyway, he's very funny. But he was the guy who actually, when I was looking for the Killdozer, that's how I found it, was through him. But he did another story that was about a shitty neighbor who didn't like his neighbor and called the ATF on the neighbor's family. They were all kind of hermits. They lived out in the woods. And he called the ATF saying that the guy was stockpiling weapons. And the ATF went and shot the guy's dog. And it turned out into this huge standoff between the family and the ATF. They murdered his son. They shot the guy in the head. It was just like, it was a complete disaster. I should look up that case because it's one of the most kind of fucked up government foobars.
So, and the guy was stockpiling guns, or it was all?
No, I think he was just he was a ruse to, like, the neighbor basically swatted him in order to get back at him for not signing a petition or something. It was a crazy story. Maybe that would be
to reroute the sewage.
There's a lot of zoning involved. It'll be a riveting story, and we'll do it in the next 1 hour episode.
Zone Law podcast. He walked the signed petition to the mailbox, licked the postage stamp, and sent it.
But was it enough postage? It was not.
He realized then that it was a Saturday. And he was going to have to wait at least 72 hours before his postage would be sent.
The most boring podcast of all time. There's a thing happening in Canada that I shouldn't laugh about. Nobody should laugh about it. It's very sad. But when I was thinking the post box, how you put stuff in there and nobody checks it until Saturday. Have you ever seen? I don't know if they have them in Australia, but they're like clothing bins that you put outside. So
that's where
first of all, you're dropping off your clothes.
Unwanted kittens and stuff.
Well, you drop off your clothes in these bins, and I don't know why they need to be secured, because they're basically going to the Sally Ann, the Salvation Army, and then being given away to people in need, right?
No, that's not how it works.
They sell them, but they, if you needed clothing, the Salvation Army would give you clothing, I'm sure.
For a low price.
Or for nothing. If you went in and said, "I'm freezing, please, can I have a coat?" They would just give you.
They would say, "Well, we've got some cheap ones over here, but these are for people in Ethiopia."
Maybe.
Why don't you go ask the government for money?
Now that does irritate me, because our government gives them so much, and then they all smoke, right? But then they say they don't have enough money to get the bus fare. I was like, well, you could have not bought your cigarettes. You fucking nitwit. Anyway,
here
I'm trying to tell a humanitarian story about these people, and I'm just
but they're getting mad because here you can sponsor an Australian child, and I'm like, why would you do that?
I'm trying to pay for my own Australian child. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not
getting any handouts from the government.
Yeah,
we get free schooling. They get free food. Anyway,
the other one that irks me is when you buy your groceries, and they're like, "Oh, would you like to give $2 to a children's charity?" I'm like, charity? No, fuck, no, not at all. I'll give it like when I get a tax receipt for it. But basically, I'm giving a tax receipt to Sobeys or Superstore.
True,
and
that's true.
They're not paying taxes because I gave my money to the IWK through them. I don't think so.
Yeah. Fuck you, Sobeys.
Yeah,
no,
that's just
that could be defamation.
The greediest way. Sorry, Sobeys. I'm sure you're doing the right thing, and maybe I could get a tax receipt. I don't know. But I'm inherently irritated at you. I don't like being like, you're in a line, there are people behind you, they know where you work, and then they're like, oh, that selfish asshole isn't going to give $2 to the IWK. And you're like, well, maybe I gave $100 last month to the IWK. Why do you have to ask me in the lineup at Sobeys? You know what I'm saying? What was I talking about? Oh, the clothing bins. Yeah, so what's been happening in Canada is people have been like kind of dumpster diving into those clothing bins to get clothes when they're homeless. Mm-hmm. But the bins are like a one-way valve, right? You can get in, but you can't get out. So all these people are dying in them, and they're finding bodies on the Monday because they crawled in on the Friday and nobody saw them crawl in.
The resale of those clothing items would just plummet.
We're never going to get $3 for this jacket. Anyway, it's really sad, but it's just a weird, because we talk about true crime. That's one of those weird things. Like, it's a bad way to go. It's like stuck halfway in a clothing bin.
Yeah, well, kids don't. I mean, for all of those people who currently are listening to this inside
and are homeless,
one
and are considering
clothing bins, good luck to you. I hope that it's a Tuesday.
Should we send them some TNP?
TNP.
Thoughts and prayers,
I think they'd prefer TP.
Here, we're sending some TNP your way. I think that's what politicians should abbreviate thoughts and prayers to TNP, since they say it so often.
Yeah, they just don't give a shit.
TNP to Parkland High. TNP to the survivors of the whatever. TNP to Ethiopia Airlines. TNP to this and that. I'm so sick of it. They're not praying. I guarantee you Justin Trudeau did not say a prayer for the people on the airline. But thoughts and prayers. Our thoughts and prayers, our heartfelt thoughts and prayers are with our hearts. Just TNP. Send them your TNP. You phony asshole. Anyway, so listeners, season 2 has begun. Are we going to do one next week? I think we should
try. Yeah. I think we need to get more paranormal stuff. Can the weirdos just send us your fucking stories? Like, I mean, look at all this time. We're putting all of this time in for you. This is for you, the listener.
You could hear the effort oozing out of every moment of this podcast.
Like, if I had a nickel for every moment that I put into this research.
I kind of went looking for weird podcasts, because Jack's really he's into rap music and he's into skateboarding, and I thought skateboarding would be the more innocuous one to listen to while we're lying in bed. Mm-hmm. And I can't find a lot, but a lot of them are like, guys do a 3-minute podcast, and they just talk about like, oh, this is why you shouldn't skate in the rain, dude, because your board will get wet. And I go, man, that had 55,000 listens, and it has no.
Well, I mean, but listen, if we took that and we were like, okay, let's make a weird skateboard podcast, and I'm like, okay, so today I'm going to try to get this entire skateboard up my ass, and then you could listen to every groan, and you're like,
it's so rough.
The grip. Why did I get the grip?
Shouldn't have put the grip tape on.
Oh no,
it's a mistake.
That's the kind of weird podcast that I was thinking that you were going to tell me about just now.
No, I was just an esoteric podcast is what I was getting at. Like, it was a look up skateboarding podcast. Guys, sounds very nice. The last one was recorded in 2008.
Why don't you listen to some HAMS?
Hams?
What?
Hams. It's a podcast about ham and smoking your own meat.
Some ASMR.
It just doesn't do it. Doesn't do it for me. I find it a little weird. I've been listening at night. I was listening to True Crime Garage at night, and then I started having nightmares about murder, so I had to stop that. And then I was listening to BuzzFeed Unsolved, like I just put it beside the bed. And then I started, because they have spooky sound effects, I started having like weird feelings at night about that.
Yeah.
Even though like the show doesn't spooky out at all, but the sound effects are really spooky. So lately I've been putting on an episode of Mythbusters on my phone every night before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. That definitely highly recommended, because I feel like I'm smarter when I wake up. I absorbed Jamie and Adam's intelligence.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our podcast.
Yeah, I'll be back
to season 2.
I'll be back to Canada next week, and we'll do another one.
Yep. And
I've missed doing these. I got to say, I love this. I love doing the podcast, even though they're complete shite.
They're so awful, but I don't mind them either. I'm getting a lot of EVPs from your end.
Yeah.
So
it's time
I think you're probably getting a haunting.
Yes, I assume it's a ghost. I'm going to try and find a good supernatural thing to do for the next one.
Well, look, I mean, I watched this BuzzFeed Supernatural Unsolved thing, and I'm like, this is what we could do. Oh, actually, they have spirit boxes on eBay, Jake.
Oh, no way. I'm not doing it without you. I don't believe in that stuff, but those things freak me out.
I know. You should just order one. I would order one, but
I realize it's just radio stations. You know that's how it works.
Yeah.
It just goes through the
like,
FM dial.
And it's like
toast.
New York.
Yeah.
The sunny.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sunny in New York, but it's wintertime. What?
This doesn't make any sense. It could only be a ghost.
Yes. All right. I'll talk to you later. See you, weirdos.
Okay, see you, weirdos. Oh, wait a sec. Facebook, Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Facebook, Twitter. Anything
else? Instagram. I don't know how that works.
One Foot in the Grave podcast at... One Foot in the Grave podcast.weebly.com, and it has all the links.
Yeah, and send us, please, some supernatural stuff, because we don't...
stories, for the love of Pete. You stupid fuckers.
And then it turns out like this podcast.
Yeah. Do you want this again, or do you want something good?
If you
it's
want
like a choose your own adventure.
We're holding you hostage for some stories to work on.
Yeah.
Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen.
Our listener.
Fucking hell.
All right.
Have fun. Bye.
Bye.